So you have a long distance lover? Let's talk about it. I want to talk about the do's and don'ts as it relates to long distance dating. I got a few non-negotiables that I want to discuss with you girlies. If you're new here, welcome to Heal the New Sex, where we discuss all things healing, self-love, and relationships. My name is Samynthia. I'm a licensed therapist and coach. And one of the Heal Squad members asked me a couple of questions about long distance dating. She said, what is the key to a successful and healthy long distance relationship? What can you expect from your long distance partner? What are some reasonable and unreasonable expectations in this relationship dynamic? I feel like sometimes it's hard to get my feelings across. Now, sometimes your specific situation, I may not be able to answer in the video, so I encourage you to book a call. But over the past couple of weeks, I've had a lot of girlies in long distance relationships. So I just want to share a few tips as it relates to being successful in long distance dating. So this is what I want you to consider. Just like any relationship, I believe that you have to be very clear. You have to have terms as it relates to what this long distance relationship is going to look like. So I would recommend that the two of you get together, get on FaceTime or Google Meet or something like that, and identify what it is that you need from each other and your expectations as it relates to this dynamic. This dynamic is not the norm, right? And so I think you have to be very clear on what it is that you need, want, deserve, desire, but in a loving and kind way. So, and the reason why I say, have this meeting is because it gives you the opportunity for both of you to come and to share what you need during this unusual time. Hopefully, right? The goal is for the two of you to be able to occupy the same space. And I think even as it relates to this meeting, you need to have a conversation and a timeline for when that will happen. Long distance relationships happen for an array of reasons. He may be in the military, you may be in the military. It could be you guys were college sweethearts, and so you're going to grad school. And so you're going to grad school in different areas. I saw recently a beautiful young lady, I think she was in California, and she went on Hinge and changed it to London and ended up meeting her husband in London. Okay, but I want to say this, that is not the norm, okay? But I think that you need to put everything on paper. What is it that you need spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, physically? How often you guys are going to visit each other? As it relates to the visits, how many times a year you want to visit each other, and in what areas are you guys going to go on vacation with each other, and then how often you guys are going to visit each other in each other's town and each other's home. Now, I'm going to say this. I believe that if you're going to engage in a long distance relationship, you have to count up the cost. It has to financially make sense in order for you to engage in this type of relationship. I know people are going to do what they want to do, but I would not become exclusive with a man that I didn't have a couple of visits with in person. Because it's one thing to be able to have all of these glorious conversations, and especially in the beginning of a relationship, because there's a whole lot of infatuation. Even when the person is close in proximity to you, that first stage is infatuation. But I would need to be able to go out to where he at and scope the scene, okay? I need to be able to see him with his friends, see him with his family, see him interact with coworkers before I make a decision to be exclusive with him, okay? And I would hope that he would want to vet me the same way. Come out to where I'm at, meet my people, meet my folks, see how I'm living. Now, he can't come to my house in the first couple of visits because I don't know you like that, okay? I don't know you like that, all right? And I would also not want to go to his house the first time I'm there. I would prefer to be in a hotel room. And he's not coming up to the hotel room either, okay? Because I don't know you like that, okay? But sometimes you may be familiar with him because maybe you went to school together, grew up together, but you still need to have your boundaries and your standards as a lady. It doesn't matter that you've known him since you were 5 years old. He doesn't get to skip the steps as any other man wouldn't, okay? Keep that in mind. I did the video. Oops, sorry, y'all. I did a video about watch this. I think it says watch this before you move him out of the friend zone. I'm going to put that up here so you can watch that, because sometimes when we're familiar with someone, especially a man, we just lower our guard and we give him access to us when you shouldn't. Okay. So one, you need to be clear. You guys need to sit down And this is the thing. You may say, Samithia, that sounds very informal. It sounds unromantic, but I'm all about protecting your heart. No heartbreaks in 2026 and beyond. And so we have to date what? Logically. Okay. A lot of us have gotten into situations that we wouldn't have gotten in because we would led with our heart first instead of our head first. Okay. I think a non-negotiable that you need to have, and this is your personal non-negotiable, this is not one that you share with him, is that you need to have a timeline. You need to have a timeline as it relates to being exclusive. You need to have a timeline for the first visit. You guys see each other face to face. You need to have a timeline as it relates to when you're going to get married, if you want a marriage, or when you're going to move in the same area. Now, this is the thing. This timeline is for you and for you only. It's not for you to communicate with him. Okay. And the reason why you have your own personal timeline is because you need to manage how much you invest in this relationship. And that's with any relationship. You need to manage how much you invest. You need to ensure that you're not giving time that you really can't get back. Time is something that we can't get back. You can never get it back. And you need to know, like, okay, within a year, we've had 5 or 6 visits. I think then we can determine whether we're going to be exclusive or not. Within 2 years, we need to be moving closer to each other. I think the only caveat for me, and there's ladies, if you've gone through a long distance relationship, put your experience down below. I invite that. I think the only caveat may be is, let's say he's a single father, or he's a father that's very active in his children's life, and you're a mom, and you're very, of course, not, I want to say of course, but your children live with you. And let's say you guys are like, listen, we are going to do this long distance thing until our children are, have graduated high school and have gone to college, or that at least they've graduated high school. And once then we'll move to each other. But guess what? You still can get married before you move. If that's your man, and you want to, and you know, y'all could live separately for years and then come together. So I just want you to have a timeline for yourself. But I truly believe that if this is your soulmate, this is your man, he is not going to be dragging his feet to see you. He's going to be eager to see you. He's going to be eager for you to come out and to see him. He's going to be eager to move the relationship forward. And what I mean by eager, he may not be in a rush, but he's going to know that he wants you in his life, and he wants you in his life for the long term. The only caveat or caution I have with long distance relationships is that you don't get the opportunity to really assess his behavior as it relates to his words. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times how women kind of get trapped or caught in, and it's not just long distance, it's just in relationships in general. We don't respect how a man's behavior is not in line with his words. And we will respect and trust the man's words over his behavior. If at any point this man's behavior is not matching up with his words, then you need to have your timeline to be able to move on, okay? This is the thing. This man's telling you he wants to marry you and he wants to do these things. He wants to move to your city, but he hasn't applied to a job in your city. He hasn't had an interview. He isn't downsizing his life where he is in order to make plans for that. Then you have to have your own timeline to say, okay, listen, this is not a healthy relationship for me. There's some misalignment as it relates to your words and your actions, and be ready to move on, okay? Number 2, communication is so important. This is the non-negotiable. When you do that layout of what you guys need, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, also you need to put in there communication. He shouldn't go ghost. You shouldn't go ghost. How are you guys going to handle conflict? Sometimes what happens is that in the moments where you guys are together, you may romanticize those moments. So you don't want to bring up anything that may dampen or ruin the mood, but you need to be able to communicate your expectations or your frustration or your disappointment, even in times when you are together. As it relates to communication, do you have anyone, or you need someone, you need an emergency, let me put it this way, you need an emergency contact for that man, okay? If something should happen to him and you can't get in touch with him, who can you contact on his side? I would not be in a relationship with a man that I didn't know about the important people in his life. What leads me to this, even though you're in a long distance relationship, there may be some needs that you can't get met by your partner. So who is your support system in the state or the city or the country that you live in, you should still be living a full and vibrant and passionate life, even though you're in this long distance relationship. The young lady asks about expectations, right? Let me get back to it. She asks, what are some reasonable and unreasonable expectations in the relationship dynamic? I think it's sorry, y'all. I think it's unreasonable to think that your partner, even in not just even when the person lives close to you, I think it's unrealistic to expect that they're going to meet all of your needs. Okay, so you have to identify in this dynamic what needs this person can meet versus the needs that they're unable to meet, because distance is a thing. Let's say you get in a car accident. He may not be able to get there to you on the scene depending on how far away you live from each other. Now, if it's 2 or 3 hours that you guys are distant, then of course, I believe that he should come to your rescue. You're the damsel in distress. But if he lives in another state and it's far away, you just have to be able to manage your expectations, okay? Now, I think if there was something tragic that happened, let's say, for instance, your mother passed away, then I think it's not unreasonable to want him to come to be present to comfort you. He may not be able to come in the beginning, but let's say he takes leave from work and he's present for the funeral. Okay, I'm sorry for that. My neighbors are being loud upstairs. Okay. So a communication is important. I think that it shouldn't be a 24-hour period where you don't have any contact with him. I don't think that he should be able to engage in the silent treatment. Even if you guys are having a disagreement, it should be clear that you guys still communicate with each other. We don't shut down. We're not responsive. I need you also to pay attention that if any time the communication changes within the relationship, that you communicate that with him. Like I'm noticing, like, hey, you used to text me, good morning, beautiful. And then we would talk at lunchtime, but now it's hard for me to get in touch with you. If it ever gets to the point where the communication changes and it's difficult for you to get in touch with him, I need you to respect his behavior. What he's saying is one or two things. Either he is moved on, his attention is somewhere else, or it could be that there's something going on in his life and you need to be able to identify how long you're going to tolerate that behavior. Okay. Now, and the final thing is, I don't believe that there should be a long period of time before you meet this person in person. Now, if you've known him before, I think that's a little bit different. But even then, you guys need to be meeting each other frequently in person. That's just my belief. I know finances play a role for some people, and you may not be able to do that maybe once or twice a year. But I think if you guys live within 8 hours of each other, that you guys can spend a long weekend. Memorial Day is getting ready to come up. You drive up one day, spend the night together, have the day together, and the next day you guys, go your separate ways. If he makes us a lot of excuses as to why he can't see you and those type of things, that's a red flag to me, and I would no longer engage in that relationship. I think it's also very important to be creative as it relates to date night. Whether it's every Tuesday, you guys do a date night, you cook your favorite meal, or you order your favorite meal, or he orders your favorite meal from your restaurant along with some flowers and a bottle of wine if you're into that, has it delivered to your house, and you guys FaceTime each other while you guys are having dinner. You have the opportunity to be very creative in this relationship as it relates to building connection. And that is neat. I like that. Whether it's going to the movies at the same time and you have an AirPod in your ear, Apple write me a check, AirPod in your ear, and so you guys are watching the movie together and you whispering, because you shouldn't be on the phone in the movie, but you whispering, you know what I'm saying? Or I don't like no scary movies. I'm not gonna watch no scary movie, but maybe you in a scary movie and you're like, oh baby, I wish you was here to hold me while at this scene. Oh my God, I went, I don't know, stroke his ego a little bit. Don't make that man want to come. He be like, girl, listen, I know it's 18 hours, but I'm about to get on the road right now. Okay. So be creative as it relates to this relationship. Long distance relationships, long distance loves have strengths. They have weaknesses, just like relationships where the person lives in close proximity. The most important caveat I want you to get is that it takes two people to make a relationship work. Okay. And both he and you have to be committed to making this relationship work, just as if you guys lived around the corner from each other. That's the most important thing. If you are having a difficult time communicating your need, I want you to take a moment, take a step back and identify, is this a need that he really can meet? Or does he have, okay, break it down. Is this a need that he really can meet? Okay. In long distance relationships, there will be times in which you may be lonely. And so you may want him to address that, but he may be unable to, depending on whatever situation is happening in your guys' life that has you separate. So he may not be able to meet that need, but you have friends, you have family, hopefully, that you can spend time with. So when you're lonely, you can honor, I'm lonely. Tell him, baby, I miss you so much. I can't wait till the next time I see you. But then plan time to spend in-person time with your family and your friends, okay? If he can't meet your need, you also have to look at, is it capacity, right? Does he not have the capacity to meet this need? And even if he doesn't have the capacity, is he willing to do the work to build capacity to meet the need? Okay. Him just be like, I don't understand, I can't do it. That ain't enough, right? Is he willing to do the work? Relationships require work, and you are going to change. You're going to evolve as a woman. Whether right now you're single and you don't have children, or you have children, perimenopause, menopause, career changes, going back to school, there's going to be changes, and our partners have to be fluid with us as we change and as we evolve, and vice versa. Okay. We believe in reciprocity over here. So is this a capacity issue? And then finally, you have to evaluate, is this just something that he doesn't want to do for me? And if it's a matter that this is something that he doesn't want to do for you, then there's some decisions that you have to make, whether you accept that he doesn't want to do this for you and remain in the relationship, or you say, this is a need that must be met for me in a relationship, so I can't stay here. This is no longer safe for me. You deserve to be in a relationship, whether it's long distance or close proximity, where you feel emotionally safe, seen, and heard, and cared for. All right. Well, I love to hear from you down below. This is Healing the Sexy. My name is Cynthia.